church buses, and the muffler was hanging low. Got in, looked at my email, just want to inform you, Pastor, that 3 of the catalytic converters off of our vehicles have been stolen in the back of the church, off of the church buses with our and your name on it. Y'all talking about, oh my God, clutch my pearls. How could they do that at church? Because God said this to me. He said, I told you when you got here that if you didn't move these resources out, 1, I will move you out. He said, 2, if you don't go out and get them, they gonna come in and get you.
You have been listening to a sermon from New Faith Baptist Church in Madison, Illinois, where Reverend Dr. Janelle D. Felder is the pastor with Reverend Dr. Alexis F. Felder. If you would like to visit New Faith, we have Tuesday night prayer at 7:30 p.m., Wednesday night Bible study at 7:30 p.m., Saturday service at 5 p.m., and Sunday services at 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. New Faith Baptist Church International is located at 25 South Central Avenue, Madison, Illinois, 60443. For more information about New Faith Baptist Church, please visit their website at www.newfaith.org or call them at 708-720-1318. Welcome back to the Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Your next stop, the McCain Train.
You are now returning to the Let's Stay Together Talk Show.
All right, welcome back to the Let's Stay Together show. Hey, Jonathan, did it go on off already? Oh man, how long was it off? Oh man, I was late, about 1 minute. Okay, if y'all been waiting for us for 1 minute, that's my fault. I was talking too much. But I hope you enjoyed that sermon from Pastor Dr. Trinell Felder. We heard Trinell Felder, the pastor of New Faith Baptist Church International. If you have missed the first hour, you've missed an awesome discussion about domestic violence. And if you're listening, I know that some people are, a little bit sometimes ashamed. I'm out of breath. I'm getting old, boy. We went from one room to the next, and I'm already breathing heavy. That means we need to have an exercise
yeah, we
thing
both
here.
need to get back and shake.
But if you missed it, you've missed something excellent. And there are some people. We've got some Facebook information on there. I know this is something you may want to talk about anonymously. You can call in anonymously at 312-754-4333. You can send stuff to Facebook. Unfortunately, Tracy's not here, so I'm not able to jump to the Twitter and link LinkedIn as well as she can. But if you send something over to our Facebook, or you can also, for this show, text me at 708-362-7751. We will put your information on the air, the questions that you have, because I've got a couple of people saying that they wanted to see how they can send questions online. And I'm going to have to do something to connect our Facebook where I can get a message right away so I can see that. Jodine, we was talking about a little bit about the forgiveness factor, or maybe I should say, how Christ was able to help that individual or help you maybe not go through the process of wanting to actually kill that person, because that's a normal process we were talking about. Mm-hmm. That is, somebody has abused you. Mm-hmm. The normal process is to, get back at the abuser. Can you tell me about, what helped you not to go through that process of abusing the person who abused you?
It was just a wake up call for me, and thinking about my children. It was really, as simple as just a aha moment, because I knew that if I succeeded, my children would be without parents, or they would be without me and, end up being raised by him. So thankfully, I was just able to come to my senses before it was too late, and, go into hiding for a while to get out of it.
When you say go into hiding, did you have help to go into hiding as far as with the laws or a safety group or something to get you, or you went exclusively by yourself in hiding?
Exclusively by myself, because the perpetrator isolates you from family and friends. Because if you think about it, family and friends can speak sense into you.
Yeah.
So that's part of their power and control, is to isolate you from everyone and everything, because the more control they have over you, the less people on the outside, chit-chatting in your ear, the better for them. And so the perpetrator knows, where your family lives, where your friends live. So that's another reason why also victims don't leave, because they have nowhere to go. Shelters are full. Sometimes victims don't want to leave their home and their belongings, because if you call a shelter, and if there are not any shelters open in your immediate area, they'll keep looking for an open bed somewhere, even if it means out of state. But you have some who don't want to do that for whatever the reason may be. So with leaving the situation, you have to go somewhere that the abuser doesn't know. So for myself, my brother had just moved. My perpetrator did not know where he was staying at, and that was the perfect place for me to take my children to go and hide. I did go and get a restraining order, because one of the times that the police did come to the house, they handed me a slip to file a restraining order. But I didn't know what it was, because, for one, very few times did the authorities come, because I learned real quick that my abuse was, the beating was worse when the cops left, because you shouldn't have been loud so nobody could hear you. You should have shut your mouth, blah, blah, blah. He would blame it on me. So I was scared to call the police the next time it happened. And the next time it happened, I tried not to scream. I tried to keep it down so that the neighbors wouldn't call. So the police actually messed up the time that they came, because they're supposed to separate you in different rooms. And when they came, they did not do that. We were in the same room on opposite sides of the room, but that was not supposed to happen. And so they handed me a slip. And all I saw, because as soon as they walked out the door, he snatched the slip out of my hands. But all I saw was the courthouse on there. So the time when I left, I remembered seeing the courthouse, and I said, okay, I don't know what I'm asking for. I don't know what I'm doing. I just knew I needed help and had to get out. And I went to the ground. I'm like, look, I'm tired of him beating on me. I don't know what else to do. And so then they told me, you need a restraining order. Well, because he didn't have a job and wasn't steady somewhere, it was hard for them to serve him the restraining order. So I was scared to go home, and I thought of my brother, and I said, okay, he doesn't know where he lives. Let me go here. And I stayed there for almost a month until he was served the restraining order. And actually, he was never even served it, because they couldn't find him. They couldn't catch up with him, because he didn't have, a job. He was, a
Wait a minute, but
person.
you guys share a residency, right?
We did.
And they couldn't bring it to the house to serve him?
Because he was never there. The times that they did go there, either he didn't answer the door or he wasn't there.
It's interesting. You have a question about it?
Yeah, go ahead. I've got a Facebook question.
It's interesting what Jodine said, that the abuser always blames you for everything. Just like you said that the food wasn't hot enough.
Yes.
Or if I'm beating you now, keyword, I'm beating you, but you better keep it down for the neighbors. Yep. I mean, that's just too much control. And that's why, baby, this subject is sensitive to me, because I am that ride and die chicken, as my husband always tell me. She not that saved yet. I'm the preacher's wife, but I'm not that saved yet, because I'm like, really? So you going to blame me for beating me, for screaming out in my pain? Oh, Brenda, calm it down. Go ahead, babe.
We've got a Facebook question. I wanted you to just do that anonymous. Read the information you have there if you can.
Starting with the question, will there be a continuation of the series in the near future?
No.
Where's right here? Okay, but that could be yes. It could be a continuation in the near future.
You can say, there will be a continuation in the near future about this. We're also going to be talking about, you're going to read that part. We're also going to be talking about with Jodine in regards to, dating after abuse. And she's going to be back for another show to talk about that as well. And so we will continue this process. We've talked about domestic violence since we've been on the air, and we'll continually talk about it because it's something that needs to be discussed. So you go with that question.
The question is, what is the best course of action to take when you have already been through the course for mediation and counseling with a child representative and the other party isn't willing to fully comply with the recommendations and you have no other readily available resources to assist you with parental duties and responsibilities?
Why are you looking at me? I didn't ask the question. I'm thinking that maybe they'd be able to figure out, what that is. Now, did you all?
I would need to hear it again because
Okay.
that was a lot.
Okay, what it says, and I'm probably a much worse reader than Brenda is. It says, what is the best course of action to take when you have already been through the courts for mediation and counseling? I can read, girl. And the child's and with a child representative and other parties aren't willing to fully comply with the recommendations. So the other person is not fully willing to comply with the recommendations, and you have no other readily available resource to assist you with parental duties and responsibilities. So it seems like what she's saying is that, if I've already went through the course of action and this person is not following what the courts have said, what other things can I do?
Mm-hmm. The only thing that you can do is take it back to the courts. You have to keep going back to them, whomever set those guidelines, whether it's a judge, whether it was, whatever facility or agency you was working with who set those rules. You have to keep going back to them. Don't give up. Please don't give up. That's one of the things that a lot of individuals do, is because I understand it's a long process. I understand how cumbersome and emotional and frustrating it can be, but you can't give up. You have to document everything. If you're not already documenting, start documenting. I'll tell you a quick story where there's a lady that I was working with at an agency, and she was going through abuse with her husband, and she did not report it. She ended up killing him in self-defense. And because there was no documentation, there was no reports made or anything, she ended up serving time in jail for that because they had no proof of the prior abuse. And I use that story with individuals as far as the importance of documentation, as far as the importance of going back and continually pressing the issue with the system, because people cannot be held accountable unless the proper individuals know what's going on. Get names, find out who you talked to, who was the judge or who was the person who put those rules, in place. And if you have to go over their head, but you have to stay consistent with it, and you cannot give up. Someone has to be held accountable sooner or later. But the key is to keep going, keep pushing, and keep that documentation. Just like with restraining orders. A lot of individuals feel as if restraining orders don't work because they say, well, they still come. I call the cops don't do anything about it. What's the sense? Yada, yada, yada. Document. If that individual, if you have a restraining order, that individual is coming your way. If that individual is harassing you and is violating that restraining order, and if you call the authorities and they don't do anything about it, don't get upset and hostile with the police officer, but get that the police officer's badge number when you called, what day and time you called, and then escalate it. That is so important. As we're facing domestic violence laws and the situation in general, because what's happened is, back in Wisconsin, I used to work with the Department of Justice, and I actually did some of the teachings with law enforcement at their annual seminars as it pertained to domestic violence. And law enforcement get frustrated because they constantly come back to the same home where they're constantly dealing with the same situation. And the victim is recanting on their statements, or they're not appearing to court or certain things. But they can't help you unless you're helping them. And if they're not doing their job, then you need to escalate it, because unfortunately, just like with advocates, we have a lot of individuals in this system who are just in it because it's a paycheck and really don't have, your best interest at mind.
Yeah, that's true.
In heart.
Yeah. Did you want to add on something with that?
No.
Well, I did.
Yeah, go ahead.
She had to think about it. No, Jodine, she made a great point. No matter how bleak it look, you really do need to keep documenting everything, because that analogy you use that should be the catalyst for everything. You didn't document it. You didn't get the restraining order. You knew you was going through domestic violence, and to defend yourself, you ended up saving your life but killing him, and now you're actually dying in jail. And I say not literally dying, but your livelihood is over with. That's That's a good point to use that. If anything, document, have it written down, that paper trail. Like you said, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but to have it in the system that this person came forward with the restraining order.
Yeah, let me add some more statistics in here that we have also from a place that I found. They said the number 3 is the number of women murdered